The event itself, like a Pandora's box of events, was out of Sam's control, unpredictable, and out of every comfort zone that Sam had ever known. The event itself is not important right now. Every single event that would come out of this Pandora's box all resulted in the same thing: a backdraft. Welcome to Walks with Sam, the podcast by the same name from the published book with me, the author and your host, Gordy Campbell. Walks with Sam discusses the burning question, do you really understand mental illness? We'll be discussing the journey into and through mental health illnesses and talking openly about real-life lived experience to raise awareness for all who want to better understand when we are victims and when we're being warriors. We know how important mental health awareness is, so you can show your support for free by sharing this podcast and the book with your own support groups, leaving a review on the book on Amazon or Kindle, subscribing to the podcast, or if you'd like to support the unpaid work that we do and you do find it valuable, please do purchase your own copy or gift a copy to others in your life who you think would also benefit. It's an emotional journey ahead, so we will keep it lighthearted, and please do bear in mind that there will be references that may be triggering to some, so please do stop and come back in as you feel necessary. Enjoy the journey, and let's take a walk with Sam. Welcome back to the Walks with Sam podcast, a discussion beyond the book. In this episode, we're discussing mental health journaling. We'll be discussing the benefits and timescales of practicing this powerful exercise, whether advised by a doctor or you've decided to keep one for yourself. Walks with Sam had come from the basis of Sam's mental health journal. Over time around the world, journaling has been proven to have a positive impact on mental health. We're excited to share why and how you can incorporate it into your daily routine. So let's start by discussing the benefits of mental health journaling. Journaling allows individuals to express their thoughts and emotions in a safe and private space. This can lead to increased self-awareness and emotional intelligence, as well as improved mood and overall well-being. Writing down your thoughts can also help you to identify patterns or triggers that may be causing distress, and provide a sense of clarity and perspective on what you are going through. Another benefit of this is the opportunity to release pent-up emotions and stress. The act of writing can serve as a form of catharsis, allowing individuals to process difficult or overwhelming feelings in a healthy way. By putting your thoughts onto paper, you can release them from your mind and create a sense of relief and calmness. And now we move into our next chapter of the book. Sam. This was about Sam. Sam, just like any flame coursing accident or creation, is run by a series of chemicals and organs. Sam is human, a representation of whoever you wish to think about in regards to how they work. What makes them tick? Why do they get so weird or act funny when you ask them to do you a favour or go watch a movie? Sam, although not a flame-filled disaster, was just living Sam's life, Sam being Sam. Doing what Sam does, nobody being harmed, nobody feeling in danger, nobody feeling the need to take control, step in and be helpful or start avoiding the danger. The fire is Sam. Sam was just your average person until it happened. A situation, an event, a turning point. A moment in Sam's life that changed everything that had ever been known. The event itself, like a Pandora's box of events, was out of Sam's control, unpredictable, and out of every comfort zone that Sam had ever known. The event itself is not important right now. Every single event that would come out of this Pandora's box all resulted in the same thing: a backdraft. An emotional reaction to specific situations for Sam unexpectedly created a sudden burst of chemicals through Sam's neurotransmitters in the brain. At the time, Sam was unaware what was happening, as any of Sam's friends and family would understand, through everyday emotions in life, Sam would start feeling very upset, ecstatic, overjoyed, amused, humorous, and so on, and so on, and so on. We need to realise that Sam would not fully understand until much later that during all these emotions, his brain, like an overheated motherboard in a computer, would stop functioning accurately. Confusion would set in, and Sam would have lost moments with many close friends, family, and colleagues thinking of Sam as someone who may be unreasonably erratic, unpredictable at times, very much of a live wire. It goes unsaid that we all know a Sam, your 40-year-old friend Pam, who's always too tired to go for dinner, your friend John's 12-year-old daughter who always sits on her own at the Christmas party looking at the floor, your boss man Dave at the workshop who you see sitting in the car for 10 minutes before he comes into the building to lead the 20-minute staff briefing, someone's spouse. They seem to always be in a mood when they wake up. Every morning starts with an argument and you feel like they don't love you anymore, or you start to think that they have found someone else and don't like being around you. Pain. Pam doesn't tell anyone that she suffers from agoraphobia. It's mild and she can do everyday tasks in public, but 3 years ago she was mugged at knife point and has never been the same since. Her PTSD of the mugging still exists, and although her medication is reduced by half, she still gets confused in public and needs to self-control her anxieties. 12-year-old Lucy doesn't know why she can't look at people. She's been on medication since she was 10, but she doesn't know why. Her parents don't tell anyone that she was diagnosed with depression 2 years ago because she would get severely upset at everything and cry 4 to 6 hours a day. Lucy self-harms. Nobody knows. Dave has not felt depressed for 20 years, but every day has to manage his severe anxiety before the briefings. He openly talks about his past depression, but has to self-manage his emotions on the anxieties to public speaking. He knows when he's in danger of being depressed again. Someone's spouse is on the borderline of having a full mental breakdown. Nobody knows, not even the spouse. But how is this so? What causes it? Surely if we know the cause, we can avoid it. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. And at the risk of being generic, for we know that nobody's situation is ever the same, and you can be my witness here that I'm breaking my own rules, let's talk generally. From both personal and research experience, it's apparent that before the explosion, the loss of control and the dissection of normal life as we know it, sufferers of depressions, anxieties, and other categories also tend to go through a backdraft of events. A series of events where parts of our everyday life begin to crumble away, we lose some functionality and our ability to function changes. Things change around us, and where we would normally process this, we begin to lack ability to think clearly, and our functionality to execute everyday tasks begins to dilute down. Pain. Let's go to the cinema. Sam's boyfriend has invited her to the cinema. He really wants to go, and she sees the excitement in his eyes. She agrees, thinking she can choose the film as he knows how much she struggles being in large groups of people. The film starts in 30 minutes, so they have to get going. She doesn't know if it will be busy. What if the theatre is full? She'll have a meltdown. But she really doesn't want to ruin his day. He was so excited about it. So she swallows her anxieties and says nothing. She feels sick. On the way to the cinema, he says he's glad they were invited. What? Invited? Who? When? What? Sam can't choose a film like she initially thought. That was her focus to alleviate the sick feeling. She turns pale and goes quiet. Her boyfriend doesn't notice and is being very quiet. She thinks she's upset him and feels like she's the reason he's annoyed. What film have they picked? He's still not talking to her. She feels like he's only asked her to go to be polite and he doesn't really want her there at all. I wish I'd just stayed at home. I hate myself. This is all my fault. They arrive at the cinema and wait in the foyer for his mates. Sam is looking around the cinema, counting people, trying to figure out who is seeing which film based on how they look. I have to know who's going to be in there. He asks if Sam wants to get any snacks or drinks. She yells, "No, I feel sick, just leave me alone." His friends arrive. They pick a sci-fi film, which she really likes and knows it will distract her from her anxieties. They get into the theatre, and there are an extra 15 people in there. Out of hundreds of seats, this still feels like a lot. Sam tells herself it could be worse. She spends 2 hours in the theatre feeling sick and only remembers 15 minutes of the film because she can't concentrate. This is my fault. This is my fault. I have to get out. Hurry up and finish. Her boyfriend is quiet again all the way home in the car, and she feels like they'll have an argument as soon as they get in the house. They get home. He says, "Thank you for coming out tonight. I know how hard that was for you. That's why I kept squeezing your hand during the film. I love you." She didn't realise she doesn't feel sick anymore. Sam's boyfriend, Sam, received a text from his mate to go out and see a movie. He's been on medication for his depression for a few months and hates being indoors, so instantly says yes. His girlfriend, Sam, always cheers him up, so he really wants her to go too. He knows she gets anxious, but she also needs to get out more. He knows he can support her best by being there, so he doesn't mention his friends, as he knows she will overthink and get worse anxiety by staying home alone. In the car, his own anxieties kick in, and he can only think deep and dark thoughts about his fears of being in an accident, so he wants to be as focused as possible. He drives there in silence. Luckily enough, Sam doesn't strike up a conversation in the car. He's never told her about this side to his depression. He understands Sam's anxieties, so he knows that her snapping at him about the snacks was okay. He knows what she means when she says, "I feel sick." He hopes one day that "I feel sick" will mean the start of a new family rather than a reference to her illness. He doesn't elaborate as to avoid causing extra stress to Sam's current mental health. When they arrive home, he tells Sam, "Thank you for coming out tonight. I know how hard that was for you. That's why I kept squeezing your hand during the film. I love you." She answers, "I love you too, and I'm so glad I could be there for you to get out of the house and see your mates for a change." Pain. Sound unrealistic? To some, it might, but to some, you may be reading this and currently thinking that I have just looked into your soul and cut out an extract of your memories. Unrealistic is impossible, for there are no real situations with how our brain decides to function. There is no one example to be had, and there are no rights or wrong ways to elaborate on it. As I sat here initially thinking up to this point with a tight throat, sudden tension headache, tears in my eyes, and for most of what you have seen so far, hovering over the delete button, what structure is there to book writing? What if I do it wrong? What if the reader disagrees? I don't want to upset anyone. Will you think bad of me for telling the truth? Do people want to know the truth? No. People do not want to know the truth about what we go through on a daily basis because it upsets them. Telling people the truth about our situations makes them uncomfortable, makes you want to leave the room. Get out of there quick, sharp exits. Make your excuses and leave the room or pass the problem to a counselling service. Refer us back to the doctors and the medical service because what could be worse than hearing the truth? Being part of it. That's worse. You don't want to be part of it because you might make it worse. Right? Wrong. Hopefully wrong, but either way, you're either going through the problem or you are part of the problem. End of. Unless you're going through the problem, it's not your problem to worry about. You cannot do anything to stop it or fix it, but you can do something. You can try to understand it. Try to be in the moment with us. Listen when we're talking and be there to support. Not fix, just support. And those medical professionals with all their knowledge, even they in all their wisdom, can only know and understand the cause rather than the feeling, unless, of course, they've been through it themselves. I apologise to anyone who reads this and thinks I'm being derogatory to the professionals. On the contrary, of course, I do fully respect and appreciate all the medical support, advice and techniques that I have been supplied with over the years, and they do such an amazing job for hundreds of millions of people around the world each year. But if you doubt what I have written, ask them these questions and then get back to me. Have you ever stood in front of a cupboard and told yourself that taking every single tablet would be better than making lunch? Have you ever been so scared to leave the house that you stayed indoors for a whole 2 months? Have you ever heard voices in your head telling you to spike yourself with the first thing you set eyes on when you open the kitchen drawer? Have you ever stood on the 30th floor balcony and told yourself, I decide? In some cases, you'd wonder why somebody like me hasn't been locked up for their own safety. At times, I did too, although the list goes on. In the following pages, filled with my own personal journey and poetry, as well as independent statements through research of various situations from others and the journal of myself as a severe depressive, you'll hopefully see us in a whole new light, see us in all our glory, dealing with life our way, how we've been forced to live beneath the surface and within our hearts and minds. For millions of us around the world, the list goes on. Don't try to help us. Don't try to fix us. You cannot save us. But what we do ask, and I write as myself and on behalf of all the people around the world that simply need understanding and more awareness of what it is to be themselves. All I ask for all of us is that you understand us, or at the very least, just try to understand us. For our screams are sometimes silent, but those are the screams that do the most damage. Damage? Pain. This is the reality of pain. Mental health. Stop, take a deep breath, and have you noticed until now, that's only the second time I've mentioned mental health. Mental health. Third. And Sam. So journaling, it can also be a really helpful tool for managing anxiety and depression. Research has shown that regularly writing about your feelings and experiences can reduce symptoms of these mental health conditions. By engaging in reflective writing, individuals can gain insight into their emotions and learn coping strategies to better manage their symptoms. Now let's discuss the timescales of practicing mental health journaling. While journaling can be a valuable tool for immediate stress relief, its benefits are best realised over time with consistent practice. For some, committing to a daily journaling session can prove to be really beneficial in maintaining mental health and promoting self-care. However, the frequency and duration of journaling can vary depending on individual preferences and needs. Some of you might find that writing in a journal once a week is enough to gain insight and process your emotions, while others may choose to write every day to stay connected to their thoughts and their feelings. Ultimately, the timescale of mental health journaling should be tailored to fit your unique needs and goals. As you begin your mental health journaling practice, it is important to set aside time each day or week to dedicate to this activity. Find a quiet and comfortable space where you can reflect on your thoughts and emotions without distractions. Consider incorporating journaling into your daily routine, such as journaling in the morning or before bed, to establish a consistency and a more definitive practice. Additionally, it can be helpful to establish a journaling routine that works for you. This may include setting specific goals or intentions for your journaling sessions, such as focusing on a particular emotion or experience, or simply allowing your thoughts to flow freely onto the page. Experiment with different journaling techniques such as gratitude journaling, guided prompts, or stream of consciousness writing to find what resonates with you. Next chapter. Notes from Sam, a poem. Don't try and stop me when I want to go out. Don't try and stop me when I scream and shout. Don't try and stop me when I'm like Charlie Sheen. Especially don't stop me when everything has to go into a specific place, or even be excruciatingly and unhealthily clean. Try to convince me I'm not who I am when I start to think that my name is Sam. Travelling through time and space every day that I wake, and I feel like a bull just threw me away. So don't do these things that cause me unease when I'm already lost in these ulterior ways. Don't. Tell me to do things I don't want to do, not when a black dog is on my back. You'll be protecting yourself from my shoe. I'm completely and utterly fine, even when I'm not. I am. Just don't. 'Cause I am. I am. I am. Kindest regards, Sam. End notes from Sam. So remember, mental health journaling is a personal and reflective practice. There is no right or wrong way to journal. The most important thing is to be honest and authentic in your writing. Use your journal as a tool for self-discovery and growth, and by engaging in this powerful exercise, you can cultivate a deeper understanding of yourself and improve your mental well-being. Thank you so much for tuning in to our episode on the Walks with Sam podcast. We hope you found this episode informative and inspiring. Remember to prioritize your mental health and well-being and consider incorporating journaling into your self-care routine. You can support the unpaid work that we do by subscribing to the podcast for free, sharing with friends and family, or you can follow us on social media, Facebook, Gordy Camp TV, and at Gordy Camp on Instagram and Threads. Alternatively, you can buy a copy of the book on Amazon and Kindle, or gift a paperback copy to someone you know who may need it. Until next time, take care and be well.